Greetings, greetings, greetings. Let's make sure we're live everywhere. We are celebrating World Wildlife Day today, and so we are going live. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Hello, happy World Wildlife Day, which is actually on Monday, but since this is the weekend, I thought I would go live today. So we are celebrating World Wildlife Day, and it's a day to celebrate animals from all over the world. And so today, our first species for sketching is this cute little seahorse. So they've been known for millennia. They have the head like a seahorse, like a horse, and a tail like a monkey. And they have eyes like a chameleon because they can rotate independently in their eye sockets, just like a chameleon. So I am going to be drawing this. Now, later on today and tomorrow, I may do some more animals from different parts of the animal kingdom, but I need donations. So you can donate. If you're on Instagram, there's a link in my profile. If you're watching on any other place, you can go to christineelder.com/donate and donate via credit card or PayPal or Venmo. So anyway, let's get started. I want you to get a pencil and paper. Now, don't be shy, okay? So I always focus on the fact that we want to draw to learn while learning to draw. So drawing is really a conservation tool. And so I want you to think of it that way. Probably anyone watching has kids or grandkids or nieces or nephews, or maybe you're a teacher or environmental educator. And if you don't draw with your kids, you're really doing them a disservice if you're afraid of drawing because you think you can't draw. So that's not the point. The point is learning about your animal while you're drawing. So as we draw this seahorse here, notice how I talk about its structures and functions, and we'll go into a bit about its ecology and habitats and conservation. And all of that is done while we're drawing. So we're giving ourselves enough time to look at something and really understand it while we're drawing it. So the drawing is like a foil for you to learn about the species while you're drawing it. Okay, so anyway, we're going to get started. So seahorses, there's about 50 species all over the world in temperate and tropical areas. And even in temperate areas, like along the California coast where I grew up, you can see a relative of the seahorse called the pipefish, and they live in seagrass beds and estuaries. So there's about 50 species, mainly in the tropics, mainly in shallow waters and coral reefs, and we'll talk about them more as we go along. So again, don't be shy. Get a pencil and paper, even if you have just the back of a napkin or the back of an envelope, doesn't matter. Just the fact of drawing will help you to learn about something more than if you just watched or if you just took a photograph. So I'm using these charcoal pencils because they're nice and dark on my paper here. And I'm trying a new way of drawing where I'm drawing on the table or on the wall here so I can make it nice and big. Okay. And remember to comment. I think I can see your comments if you post them here on StreamYard or YouTube or Facebook. I think I can see them. And so tell me if you've ever seen a seahorse before, and also tell me what other kinds of animals you might want to draw for World Wildlife Day that we're celebrating this weekend. I have some ideas about what I want to draw, but I'd love to hear your feedback as well. So in my newsletter I sent out the other day, I got a lot of votes for mammals and then birds. So we'll definitely be sketching those, and then fishes and amphibians and reptiles and invertebrates. Okay, so we're going to start drawing. Now, I'd like to start super light and loose, but I'm going to be drawing darker than I want you to, just so that you can see it here on the wall. But I want you to try to have a very much like a feather light touch where you're hardly touching the paper, so you won't feel like you need to erase. And you'll see that I'm not going to be erasing at all. Okay, and our seahorse isn't going to sit around in this coral reef all day waiting for us. So we have to just keep our pencils moving. Okay, let me make sure that we are live. And let's see. So I'm going to see where we're live. Okay, well, anyway, I think we're just here live. So tell me in the chat box where you're watching from, then I can know more where we're actually live. Because I see some viewers, but I'm not sure if we're live on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or what. Okay, so anyway, let's start. So we're going to start with a little circle for the head and a line for the snout. And then we're going to make a line that represents the backbone. Because, of course, these are a type of bony fish, except for the fact that they're usually vertical instead of horizontal in the water. So I'm going to draw a circle. A circle for the brain case there. And if you can comment, tell me if you can see this. Then I'm going to make just a line here for where the snout's going to be, and we'll talk about each of these parts as we go along. Okay, but first we want to just block in the basic shapes and get our proportions correct. Okay, and so now I'm going to kind of go down the back of the neck, and then the back of the body, and then the tail. And so that's going to be okay, there. So we have that line. Hello, Rita. It's very light. Yes, great. Well, we'll be darkening it up. So anyway, I just put a line that represents the brain case, and then the triangular snout, and then a line going down as if we're following the vertebrae down the body. Okay, so now that I've kind of just done that to place my whole animal on the page, then we're going to focus more on the actual parts. And I want to make sure, let's see, that should be light, dark enough. Okay, so let's work on the head. They have a very particular, interesting head. So I'm going to darken this up. So this is where the brain would be. And they have all kinds of spines along the head and the snout and the back and the tail we'll add later. But first the head, and then the eye is going to be about right here. And they have some radiating lines going out. And if we could see it from the side, if we were looking at the seahorse from the front, then we would see that their eyes kind of stick out and can rotate a bit like a chameleon. So they can rotate independently like a chameleon, which is really cool. All right, now let's get the snout. So here's the snout, and that's going to come down, and then there's going to be kind of a bigger part. And some big spines. And the neck. And so their mouth, they can't really open it at all. They're kind of like pangolins. If you joined one of my pangolin workshops a few weeks ago, in that they can't open their mouth at all. They just have a little hole that they can suck from, and they suck in plankton, like little brine shrimp, and they eat all day. They don't have much of a stomach, so they have to eat constantly, kind of like a little hummingbird. And so they have just a little tiny mouth opening. And we can make him have a little smile if you want. Okay, and then let's add some spines on the forehead and the top of the head. And those don't have to be exact because every species of seahorse has different types and numbers of spines. And there's lots of different species of seahorses. Like I said, there's at least 45 or 50. There might be up to 100. And every one is different in their size and shape and coloration. This one's called the tiger tail seahorse because it's kind of tiger colored. And Some of them are as large as this one, which can be a foot long. And there are other very tiny seahorses like the pygmy seahorse, which is only about this big. And they are the color of the coral reefs that they live on. Okay, so now let's start to do their back. So we see that it's arching. And then we see the first fin we're going to draw, and that's this one. So all fish have the same kinds of fins. They might just look a little bit different. And so this is the fin that's generally on the top of a fish. This is the dorsal fin. So that's going to be kind of right on this hump here. And they're going to have some spines to help strengthen it. And so they use that fin to propel themselves forward. Again, most of the time, a seahorse is upright like this. And they're not, swimming very much. They're just the opposite of fish like the open ocean tunas that swim throughout the ocean really fast. Seahorses don't really swim much. They have a really small home range within the coral reefs or the seagrass beds that they're living in. And they hold on with their long tail, which is like a prehensile type tail of a monkey. And so they're going to hold on with that. So let's continue on with the tail. Oh, mine's a little fat, isn't it? It's okay. Okay, and then so let's do the front of the body. And so we'll start at the neck and we'll come down to towards the belly, and that's the fattest part right in front of the tail. And then you see one other little fin, the anal fin right here. And that's right in front of their reproductive parts. Now, of course, the most famous thing about seahorses is the male has the babies. So that's where the hole will be, that the babies will come out, the fry. And yeah, they've got a big old stomach, especially when the male is pregnant, it gets really big. And so, and again, though, they don't have much of a stomach, so they have to eat constantly all day, eating a little brine shrimp. All right. Now, we did talk about two of the kinds of fins, the one dorsal fin and the one anal fin, and then there's going to be a pair of pectoral fins that are on the cheeks. And you can't really see that in this photograph here, but they're right behind the eye here. So I'll add that fin and I'll add those strengthening spines. Again, so it has the strength to move with muscles like this to help it kind of keep going left or right. All righty. Okay, and then we can add some more of those spines. Like I said, each species of seahorse has different numbers of spines. So we'll just kind of follow along here, and so they've kind of got these bumps and spines. I'm not trying to be too exact. And they get smaller towards the tail end. And then there's spines here on the front. And then again, kind of bumps here. And you see, I get my tail a little too fat, but that's okay. But again, that tail is going to be wrapping around some seaweed or a coral or an anemone or something to hold on, because it doesn't have much ability to control where it goes when the waves start coming in and out. So that's the beginning of our seahorse. Now, most fish have scales, like when you envision, a fish like, most fish have kind of scales like that. But seahorses are a bit different. They have some bony plates that their body is covered in, and they kind of go like, it's really light. You can't see it very much in this picture. Like that. And then there's this series of circles down their back here. And then that kind of divides the plates as well. Like that. Okay. And then, we're talking about the colors too. Every species is a different color. This one's a bright yellow, and some of them are pink or red to blend in and camouflage themselves with the coral reefs they live on. So it just depends on the species. But it is really important for them to camouflage because they have a lot of predators, including fish and birds and octopus, and of course also humans. And since we are celebrating World Wildlife Day today, we really want to think about our impact on wildlife. And of course, with global climate change and the warming oceans and ocean pollution and plastics, that's really hard on animals like seahorses. Now, of course, many of species are dependent on coral reefs, and coral reefs have been quite damaged from global climate change and the addition of more tornadoes and hurricanes, which are tearing out the coral reefs. But one of the biggest threats to seahorses is collecting, not only collecting for the pet trade, like I'm sure you've seen a seahorse in a pet store in a marine aquarium, but they're also collected and dried for curios. And you've probably seen those as well. If you've been at the beach and gone into a gift store that had seashells and things, you may have seen a dried little seahorse. But the worst thing, the biggest impact is collection for the traditional Asian medicine trade. So just like elephant tusks and rhino horns and pangolin scales, which I taught you guys about last week, many of these animals are collected and they don't really have any reason, because they have no medicinal value, and it's just a waste of their lives to be collected for these traditional Asian medicine practices. So if you can talk to anybody on World Wildlife Day about some of these issues that animals like these seahorses are facing, then that's all the better. Okay, so do we have any other questions? I see Rita was able to comment, and she was watching on YouTube. So I think we are live on YouTube. So if you have any other questions, like I said, seahorses are just really unique and loved worldwide, with the head of a horse and the eyes of a chameleon and the tail of a monkey. And of course, because the males give birth. Now, the males and females will spend several weeks courting, and every day they'll do these little dances together to solidify their bond. And then when the female is ready, she will insert her eggs into the male's brood patch. And so that would be right here. And then the male would become enlarged, just like he's looking pregnant, like a woman. And then he will have the little the little larvae will come out, and they'll actually have a little bit of an egg sac so that they can survive for a few days while they're growing and settling in and learning how to hunt the little brine shrimp and other plankton. What else do I want to say? So yeah, they over about 50 species in the world's tropical oceans, usually shallow oceans, on the coasts, mainly coral reefs. And they range from an inch long to a foot long, depending on the species. And each species is different in its size and color, and the number and shape of these different spines that are coming out. And so, yeah, if you're watching, I'd love to have you comment and tell me if you're following along. Now, again, remember that the concept of drawing something is not to necessarily make a beautiful picture. Obviously, mine doesn't look quite right, like my tail is too fat, but I am demonstrating the concept that it doesn't matter how it turns out. The most important part is when you're spending time looking at something long enough to really understand and appreciate its structure. And when you do that with kids, it helps them gain empathy and understanding for the natural world. And that's very much what we need right now, especially in our government right now. Our US government is cutting all the types of government programs that relate to conservation. Just today, I heard a lot of people in NOAA, or the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, are being eliminated. And of course, the whole USAID program was eliminated. And that negatively affected millions of course, people around the world, but also endangered species that are funded by that. For example, the pangolins that I taught you about last week during World Pangolin Day and World Pangolin Month, which was in February, that organization directly was affected by having their funding pulled for a pangolin rescue center. So there's definitely going to be pangolins that die because of that. So now more than ever, we have to inspire people to conserve the natural world and to understand our impact on it. And that starts with kids, starts with youth, in the schools, in environmental education programs, and informally at home, like this weekend. So if you're around kids this weekend, you've got kids, grandkids, you've got neighbors, you've got nieces or nephews. It would be really great if you would be inspired by this kind of program to pull out your pencil and paper and draw with kid. You know, kids just love drawing. It's natural. And it's not until they reach about, I'd say about 4th grade, the kids start becoming really self-conscious about their drawings. And so that's a really good time to actually draw with them. And that's a wonderful time actually in school when they're also learning about ecology and science, so that you can teach them both drawing skills and pull in those ecological concepts about, you know, food webs and photosynthesis and global climate and species diversity and all of that. Okay, so like I said, I can do some more of these in celebration of World Wildlife Day, but I really need donations. So you can donate at christineelder.com/donate. And if you're on my email list, you got an email about that today. Or you can just, go to my website that's linked in Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. You can easily find me online, christineelder.com/donate. You can donate Venmo or Facebook. So I'm doing my part as much as I can in my ability to help save the world by just teaching people how to use drawing as a conservation tool with the youth in your life. Okay, so you'll just have to stick around and see if we get some more donations coming in, and I may go live later on today and or tomorrow with some different creatures, because the animal kingdom is divided up into not only fishes, but mammals, birds and reptiles and invertebrates like butterflies and beetles and tardigrades. So there's millions of species on the planet, and they all need your help right now, especially. So thanks for joining, and I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.